Going.
Is it a yes?
Yep.
Right, okay. Let's open this audit and risk committee. You've had it for the day. Excellent, right. Are there any conflicts of interest for this that need to be recorded? None noted. Are there any apologies? Got a full house. Any public forum? No. Items not on the agenda, Mr. Chief Executive? There are none. Excellent. Right. First item is for discussion, item 5, page 6. Thank you, Corin. Changes to the Aotearoa key result areas. Take the report as read.
Thank you, Chair.
Any key highlights or further information you want to bring to the committee's attention?
Just to note to the committee that when we had the last committee meeting, I noted that we would bring a paper to this meeting just seeking to increase a couple of the KRAs. So Sarah, the director, and I have been talking, looking at the performance against the KRAs, and we felt that it was reasonable to do some increases there to just push the envelope a wee bit, but still keep it within reasonable bounds. And also that we have discussed it with Aotearoa, and the board are also aware of these changes. So we're looking to increase by 5% the revenue that we require that Aotearoa get from areas other than council. We are recommending that we remove the KRA, which is around self-generated revenue, because that feels like a crossover. As long as Aotearoa is getting revenue from other sources, then that seems reasonable. And then to increase the baseline for the taonga Māori and for exhibitions that tell stories of our local history and heritage from 1 per annum to 2 per annum. So it just increases that in terms of what they will guarantee to provide on an annual basis, reaching those areas. And I'll take questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions? Right. Do I have a mover for the recommendation then? Councillor Bex, second Councillor Craig. Any discussion?
Yeah, thanks, Corin. I'd just like to say that I congratulate you on the changes, especially because we're you. Oh, is Sarah here?
Yep.
Right behind you.
Sorry.
Perfectly in your blind spot.
Yeah, upping the ante on our culture and heritage, which is always welcome, and our local exhibitions. So I think that's terrific. And it's nice to see the comment in here that you both work together on them and that everyone's on the same page. I think it's great. So well done.
Go on.
Councillor Tom?
Yeah, just similarly, Corin, just like the fact that you're working towards some hard outcomes. And yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Kia ora, Tom.
Thank you. Anything else? Right, we've got a move and a second up. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you very much. The next item is for information, the minutes of the meeting held 14th of August. Take them as read. Can I have a mover?
Chair, I was not at the meeting, but I did put an apology in that it wasn't.
Right, so make that
Please.
amendment.
Page we on, sir?
I am on page 11, Councillor, 11 onwards. So the actual minutes start on page 14 of the agenda. So that,
Looking for a mover?
yes, I'm looking for a mover. Thank you, Councillor Marama. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Craig. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
It's carried. Right, our first report, page 23, Aratoi. Probably, Corin, you don't need to introduce it. You can introduce it from there.
Sarah,
Sarah.
as always, will introduce.
Thank you, Sarah. Take your report as read. Are there any? You know the drill now.
Yes, I know the drill. Kia ora koutou. Apologies for the mask. I'm unwell at the moment. I just want to reiterate what Corin has said about the new measures. We feel like it's a reflection of not only our commitment to and gratitude to Masterton District Council, but our commitment to partnership with iwi and our local history. We're really excited to meet and exceed those requirements. If you look at the report, just some highlights are that, yes, financially things are not great in the first quarter. We didn't expect them to be great. That's partly about when some grants come in, but we are in conversations at the moment with a very key star supporter who hopefully will be getting across the line soon, who will be a major sponsor and naming rights for our main gallery. So that will be a really big focus. We also have planned for June a big art auction, which hopefully we'll see some of you at, which will be a big fundraiser for us before the end of the financial year. And I'm also hoping that I see some of you on Friday night, where we've got our Little Jewels auction, which is one of our biennial fundraisers, which, having seen the back end of it, there are some truly special pieces that you can get potentially for a bit of a deal on the night. Tickets are available at our front desk for $10, which it's worth it just for the evening alone, for the getting out and seeing our local community, but it's a nice way to support our local artists. We've had over 140 works donated to the exhibition, which I think is a real signal. This is from not only from local but from nationally significant artists. It shows how important Aratoi is to our community and to the wider arts community and how well we're regarded. Otherwise, we're hopefully on track for meeting all of the requirements, and we're really excited to see what this 2024-2025 season looks like. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions of Sarah? No, they're all questions. You provide a very good report, no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a mover for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Beck. Second, Councillor Stella. All those in... No further discussion? All those in favour, please
Yes, I've just
say
got
aye.
one for the discussion. You've got a number of Lakeview School groups visiting in the next couple of weeks, and I just want to, on behalf of that school, acknowledge how much we appreciate the programs that you run for nothing. It's incredible, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a mover and a seconder. Any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. As against, carried. Next item is our destination, Wairarapa. Thank you, Anna. And Matt, do you want to make any comments, being the reporting officer?
No, just I guess the thing that you can pick up in the report is things are probably a little bit more positive heading through this quarter than we probably expected. So it's kind of a nice story in this space.
Kia ora. Yes, just to reiterate what Matt said, after a really tough 12 months, it is pleasing to see some green shoots popping up there in the tourism world and the economy, with the lift in accommodation nights and international spend. Although domestic was still flat, we'll take that as a positive. What it's telling us is that people are still coming to the region. They're coming to stay, often with friends and family, but they are still frequenting the motels and hotels, but they're spending less. The important thing is that they are coming. We are still relevant, and they will continue to come, and when they've perhaps got a bit more cash in pocket, they might spend more. The key thing is we need things for them to purchase when they're already there, and we've always got to be on to be able to be bought in some sense. At the time, we noticed there was a little bit of a positive note in the economy with tourism spend. We jumped in with a campaign called Looking Up and Looking Forward. It was all about timing, and timing is crucial. It's really important not to be tone deaf and go out with a campaign when it's not appropriate, when people aren't feeling positive or flush. And so we came out with when we thought that things were starting to look a little bit positive, and it was received exceptionally well. The key outcomes from that campaign was to promote the region in a tough environment as an affordable place to visit, so to encourage visitation. Also help draw attention to our dark sky reserve, and attract attention and traffic to our new website, and increase our email database. The reason being, a lot of our marketing is through email and digital, and we wanted to use their campaign as a way to increase our audience so that we're more effective in future campaigns. And also to show positive leadership in a challenging economic period. And we achieved all the things that we wanted to with this campaign. It ran through September. It was our best campaign yet, with over 1,000 entries into the competition that we used as the sort of motivator to do all these things. We saw a 22% increase in the names on our database that we can contact from all over the lower North Island and Auckland. And we had a combined social media reach of 110,000 people. So really good result for us, and we hope, fingers crossed, that campaigns like this and our continued presence in the market will remind people that we've got things going on here, and come and visit. Word of caution, I have to, I'd like to continue with all the bright and positive nature of my discussion, but we're still so vulnerable as a region. A major weather event, and as we've seen in Hawke's Bay, can wipe out any great work that we've done in marketing. Equally, the Ramataka Hill, about 2 weekends ago, there was an accident at Kaitoki early in the morning. It closed the hill until the lunchtime period, and in the region at the time with so many events, including the Camping Expo, AMP show, Round the Vines, and when you consider how much money was left on the other side of that hill because of the state of the hill, it concerns me. I don't know how to measure it, but it does worry me, because the more this happens, the less revenue we're generating through our visitor network. Equally, I was in a meeting this morning, and along with the 46 days that we won't have a train system through our peak visitation period, I've just heard that they're looking to close the track at Melling, around Lower Hutt, for Easter and Anzac, which means that's 10 days through our biggest or second biggest period for visitation. Along with it's the school holidays because of maintenance, because Wairarapa obviously won't be able to go through there. It's really concerning, and it's something I know that everybody's mindful of, but I just wanted to have the opportunity to draw that attention in this forum also, that it doesn't matter how much awareness or marketing we do, there are so many external forces that can have a severe impact on what is quite a successful industry in the Wairarapa.
Thanks, Anna. Questions, Councillor Craig, you've got one?
Anna, thank you very much for your report. I just picked up on you talked about the closure of the Ramataka Hill Road. Would it be your opinion that an improvement or even a new road through there would benefit the Wairarapa region substantially? Never miss an opportunity.
Without a doubt. In the Wairarapa Destination Management Plan, transport has in and out and around the region is an issue. And when you've got closures of the train system, closures of the road, how do people get in and out of here?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Great responses there, second highest in terms of international visitor growth and number of entries to your Look Forward promo. Well done. Just a question on page 31 about the Māori tourism strategy. I see you've received funding. Is that work in progress? Has it been done, and who's leading it?
Yeah, it's been done. It was completed under the Strategic Tourism Assets Protection Program in conjunction with the iwi. So that was 2 years ago, and it feeds into the to come Wairarapa Māori economic development strategy. So it was probably a precursor to that, would I be correct in saying? And there's still work happening on that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your report. I'm sorry, I guess I should have looked this up on my own time. But I noticed on page 30, and the fourth bullet point under media, you've used the word famils and what that connection with. But I don't understand what famils are.
Yeah, sorry, that's a real tourism jargon. So familiarisation, and the idea of a familiarisation is to bring people into the region and familiarise them with what's going here. It's been a word that's been around for a long, long time. It doesn't really make sense, but it's about hosting media, trade in the region, showing them what is available here, and we're really good at hosting. We don't have a lot of money, but we've got a lot of skill around relationship building and hosting, and from that we get a lot of benefits because media will write in great publications like Kiora, or they'll go back through Tourism New Zealand through their channels that they've helped us to host people here and talk about the region to our key markets. And that is a more cost-effective way of promoting the region than paying for paid media in a magazine, just as an ad, for example.
Thanks, Anna, for your report. Just around the new website, are you able to gauge how many bookings service providers are getting through your website?
That's a really interesting question. Just recently we had, at our AGM, we had a Google expert come and speak to our members, and she does a lot of Google Analytics and Google ad work with a number of our members. And she was saying to me that in terms of conversion, certainly in terms of traffic from our website to a number of our members, if they were starting to look at their membership and whether there was value in it, she'd be like, no, you don't want to be cutting that off because you are getting so much traffic to your website from Wairarapa. We perform really well in terms of search engine, and although we can't work out how much bookings end up on the other end, we know where the traffic is going to.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? I've got one. I've got to be careful how I answer this one. On your, probably actually to Matt, actually on your report, page 27, you've talked about two councils providing, will be applied each year, that you've got Masterton is sort of just a brief comment. Do you want to comment on that and what are the risks around that?
So Masterton committed to funding. So when we funded for 3 years, Masterton did 2 years, but to consider as part of their LTP. They've funded year one as part of their LTP, and then because the MOU is up for renewal next year, the decision will be made at that MOU renewal time. So we've started engaging across the three councils and with Destination Wairarapa on that MOU, and we'll be coming to council early in the new year, possibly on a workshop about what we might want to MOU.
I just wondered if that was the point.
Yeah, so I do have a signed contract with Masterton right through to September, so it all lines up now.
Okay, brilliant. All right, thank you. Any other questions? We've got a recommendation there on page 27. Do I have a mover? Councillor Craig, second Councillor Betts. Any further discussion?
Just the website, it's exceptional. I know I went on and on about it for about 3 years ago, but it's just so good. It's up to date. Like you've even got the Yarns and Barns page updated already.
Yeah.
It's just so
That's the great thing with this website, is we can actually update it in real time by our own staff, and that was one of the key things. We often with websites, they become obsolete and you've got to pay somebody to update it, and so you put all the work together at one point and do it weekly or monthly. We can do it daily, which is great.
It looks like it's done daily. It's just so good.
Thank you. So we've got a mover and a seconder. Any further discussion? All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you very much, Anna.
Kia ora.
Right, Next item, 6.4, page 33. Thank you, Tanya. No. Sorry? Oh. Josie, thank you, Josie. Take the report as read.
Sure.
Any key highlights, further information?
Sure. Kia ora, thank you, Council. So this report presents Q1 of our current financial year, so for the time period of the 1st of July through to the 30th of September. This year there are 41 measures, that's 2 less than last year. That's because there are 2 measures in the community and facilities and parks activity that were felt no longer relevant for this year, so they've been removed. Of the 41, 35 measures are available to be reported, and out of those, all but 2 are on track to be achieved at the end of this year. So that's 94% success rate, which is great. The 2 measures that are not on track to be achieved is one from solid waste. That's about the amount of waste transferred to landfill per head of population. That's slightly higher this quarter than compared to this time last year. And given we're aiming for a 3.3% decrease, it means we're not currently on track for that one. The second measure that we're not on track to achieve is from the regulatory activity, and that's about the percentage of resource consents processed within statutory timeframes. So we've just fallen short of our target. My understanding is that there are currently 2 district plans that each application needs to be assessed against, and that's just taking a little bit more time. Within the 3 water space, all of our available measures to be reported are on track, which again is brilliant. A couple of changes that I want to bring your attention to is that for the first time we're reporting the 2 treatment facilities separately. This was from the advice of audit during the end of year audit. They suggested we break them out. And the other change is the percentage for the target around water loss has been updated to reflect the new approach for calculating water loss. So the approach for doing the target is the same, but because we changed the percentage based on the change calculation, that's now changed. And finally, I'll touch on community facilities and parks. In terms of that, again, all those measures are on track to be achieved at year end. But for the first time, we have reported visits and usage to library and archives separately. They used to be rolled in together, but to give you more information, more context, we've separated them out. Thank you. If there's any questions.
Any questions? Councillor Tom?
Any thoughts around the increase in solid waste?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, not for me. I don't know if anyone else can comment on that one.
No, I haven't had an opportunity to get them.
Be interesting to find out.
Councillor Goodwin?
It's interesting that many of the measures on the 3 waters are really related to heavy rainfall more than anything, actually, and rather than our network.
Yep. It's an observation. Yeah, not a question, Councillor?
Is that a question?
Sorry?
No, I don't.
No, I don't believe it is. Right. Right. Any other questions? All right. Can I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Councillor Craig, Councillor Tom. Any further discussion, comments? All those in favour, please say aye. I've got a comment, Mr. Chief Executive. Right. Good to see it's the upward trend today. May it continue.
Thank you.
And if you look at the Auditor General's report to Parliament earlier in the year, not so that long ago, it was about the time of local government conference, he was very critical of councils falling behind in terms of the 3 water performance measures. That the number of performance measures that were met actually went down. From the previous year, there was actually 2 reasons for that, which he didn't actually explain in his report. One was the change in measures, because it was no longer monitored by or audited by the Ministry of Health, and also there was a little bit of, I would say, rainfall across a lot of the country, which has already been pointed out, reflects the measures around particularly stormwater, wastewater. So, no.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I do have one question just around the resource consent. So just the ones that face the delay in being processed. But the only reason was around that the 2 district plans being the issue. There was no other issues. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Right, so I've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
It's carried. Next item 6.5, page 58. Thanks. Are you delivering this one, Karen? Or you got a...
I'm not going to deliver it, no, surprisingly enough. I'm going to ask Tanya and Kylie to come and present.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Kia ora, thank you. So this report is in response to a request from Council in May to be, I guess, a little bit clearer about what the priorities are for implementing the emissions reduction plan. So what we have done is work with the teams across Council to identify what they actually have budgeted and programmed that they're going to deliver through until December, end of December next year. And the reason we've done it through till then is that we are planning a review of the emissions reduction plan in year 2. We're currently in the process of having a greenhouse gas emissions assessment undertaken. That should be completed by about the end of March next year, and that will help inform us as to where we should be focusing our priorities. So the plan that you have in front of you reflects the things that have been prioritised and are programmed, budgeted for through until the end of the year. We've also just listed those items that we consider BAU now, and they are things that are generally integrated into work programs. What we're suggesting is that future reports focus on the delivery of those items that are prioritised, and we'll only report on exceptions or anything new and different that pops up in those other categories. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
I certainly like your last comment about only reporting on, I mean, we don't need to monitor paper usage and that on a regular basis.
Your question, Councillor? Is that a question?
I said we don't need to monitor.
The question is, do we need to?
Do it. Oh,
Do it.
thank you. Yeah, I missed a word out. Thank you.
Right. So the answer, no? I mean, no questions. I mean, the question I have is, what are the key risks actually, or the consequences of not achieving this? I think that's probably something in future maybe you can sort of highlight. Right?
Yep.
It's a target, right? So if we don't, what's the risks, right? Because it's a long game, right? Mm-hmm. But also, what more importantly for the council, is it reputation, financial, right?
Yeah, definitely. We can report back on that when we do the next report.
And just a question for my learned friend on the left, not for you. Mr. Harris, in the future, in terms of the annual report, there is going to be some requirements in the future that we're going to have to report on this. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. The accounting standards are looking to include a level of environmental impact reporting of all organisations. It doesn't matter whether they're councils or not. So the financial reporting standards will start to include information around the impact the organisation has on the environment.
So that's going to be a further challenge. So
we have to capture the data, and that data includes how much goes out in a rubbish bin every day from the organisation versus the kilometres travelled in vehicles, the power used in the swimming pool. Everything about the organisation has to be measured in order to be able to report on it. So it's another obligation.
Does that raise the subject of, from talking with you before, these audits are getting more and more difficult? What's been organised, I don't know, through local government New Zealand or whatever, to fight back against this? I don't know. It's just it is getting harder and harder, and we should have presumably some resistance effort going up. But collectively, probably, because I'm sure every council is facing exactly the same thing.
Is it a question for me?
I'm not sure about the the national response at the local government New Zealand level, but I think we need to assess the usefulness of the information that we collect and see whether we can act on it and make a difference. So look at the positive intent of the information and do our bit with that information, and rather than look at it as a compliance requirement, actually use it.
Yes, but I suppose the question is, I don't know, maybe Mr. Chair would have a better idea. Are there murmurings about this around New Zealand?
Not over the emissions reduction and climate change, I think.
Not this specifically, the general growing of compliance with order.
Maybe we actually defer that question to the annual report. Right? It might be a more appropriate discussion, because I do have some views on it, but I'll leave it till then.
Comments?
Yes.
Still questions?
Still questions? All right. So comments, or do you want to move the? Should we move the motion? All right. So do I have a mover for the motion? Councillor Bex, second Councillor Craig. Sorry, Councillor Tass. All right.
I'm all good.
You're all good. All right.
I've just got a comment. Tim, I thought you might bring this one up,
Absolutely.
actually.
Number 39?
Yeah, do you want to do it then?
You go, Bex.
I was just going to say we've had lots of discussion about the electric vehicles for council, and it's good to see the pause buttons being pushed. Your turn, Phil.
I just think it's it's good to see you being responsive to what we've asked for, and when that mature technology, maybe from an ethical standpoint, from my point of view, comes through, I think it will be the time to update the fleet. But until then, we should hold back.
And it's good to see elected members having positive change on policies.
It was all the time with Bex and I.
All right. Just got to do it the right way. Right. Okay. So any further discussion?
That waste management one, I like seeing that as a real focus, because again, that came through from Sustainable One It Up all those years ago. Now it's a key focus area.
Thank you. Anything further? All right, we've got a move and a seconder. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Next item, 6.6, Health and Safety Quarterly Report. You're looking for your learned friend Kane, are you? He is over there. I have seen him. Thank you, Kane.
Kia ora everyone. Sorry for looking startled. I was actually just dealing with a contractor talking about putting them through our prequel system. So
excellent.
Just working away while we're here. Maybe one moment. Excellent. So it's been another great quarter for our health and safety program of work and our wellbeings across the organisation. I'm sure we'll take the report as read, but I will just talk through our key points for this quarter. Cool. So first one is reporting data. So this is what I promised at the last audit and risk meeting, talking about the new platform that we're using and its comparison to the previous year and the old system. So the graph there highlights it perfectly, what we've been working with and what we're achieving. So hazards versus hazards in 23-24, you can see that there's been a slight decrease in that identification. Incidents, this is one I didn't expect to change too much, because this is where we collect our behavioural data about what's happening across our customer-facing teams, and as you can see, it's pretty steady for 2024, but we had that great big spike in 2023, which you'll be familiar with. Accidents, nice and tidy, not very many, only the one in comparison there. And now, coming to the tail end of the graph, this is where I get jolly and excited, because you'll see we had good catch 2023. So in our old platform, you could record a good catch. That's getting something before it becomes an issue. And we had one for that quarter in 2023. Not great reporting. But then you look at the 3 months for the same time, 2024, and we've got 10, 9 and 9. So our new system has really helped change that culture of health and safety in the organisation, being proactive, identifying and reporting things that could be a problem and catching them early. So that makes me super happy. That brings me to work every day, is our change in that motion from just sort of going, oh yeah, there's something over there, to going, cool, snap, done, it's through the system and it's being dealt with. That's a really cool process.
Can we wait till he's done and we'll come back? Thanks, Councillor Clark.
Yep, cool. So that reflects really the change that has happened across the organisation. As well as part of that, obviously, I'm embedding myself more across the teams and their processes. So we'll talk about that now. And number 2 is process improvements. So we're continuing to look at our continuous improvements, working with the water treatment plants as a prime example of that. We're doing a full review of their process at the moment, initiated by MAS, and that is highlighting that we're a bit behind in our reviewing our documents, so we're catching up on that work, bringing them up to industry standard, and that will roll out hopefully in the new year with a new suite of fresh documents there and processes, so that's keeping those staff safe in that space, those spaces. That also includes work that is undertaking in the roading team, as well as contractor management across the whole organisation as well. So we're making things simpler for our staff to do their work in the field and report on what's happening in real time. And we continue to work with SiteWise, as I was just doing prior to walking up here, inducting contractors through that system. Now, wellbeing is something else that we've had a focus on in this quarter, and obviously, things are interesting out in the world at the moment, so this is quite important to everyone in this room and elsewhere in the country. But what we're doing in this space is we're highlighting the services that we have available to our staff. We're working with staff that we're deeming at risk, so those with really low sickness or leave benefit balances because they're away from work repeatedly, trying to work with them to understand what those root causes are and how we can get them up and functional and performing as best as they can when they're here and when they're outside of work as well. So we have our counselling services, and we do that also for one-on-one meetings with myself and their managers if needed. Part of that as well is we've upped our game when it comes to returning staff from injury or illness. So we've got a return to work program that we utilise, and that is putting support mechanisms in place for those team members as well, so that they can do their work safely without re-injuring themselves or having further harm. Cool. And Ben will speak to anything around leave questions that you have. Otherwise, I will open the floor.
Okay, thank you. So I've got Councillor Cron, Councillor Beeks, Councillor.
Thank you, Kane. Just got a question around the good catch. Great to see that great quantity of data there, number of good catches picking up. Well done. But I'm interested, is that due to the new platform, or is it due to a cultural shift?
Both. So the culture shift was run alongside the culture platform. So people, we highlighted putting health and safety back to that front of mind. So when you see something, do something. I'm stealing Ian's phrase there for that one. And having the platform really accessible on your phone has really helped with the speed of capturing that data.
So attitudinal shift, you're seeing that?
Yep. Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of discussion around health and safety. Yeah, I find it quite difficult walking around the building because everyone wants to chat to me about something.
Well done.
Thank you.
I'll just make a comment first so I don't have to come back. Well done on getting the excess of annual leave down through proactive leave management. That's awesome. But my question is, you seem to have done a deep dive into the water treatment plants and potential hazards, and my question is, did an event trigger that?
No. It was just merely organisational change and change in management in those sites has really triggered that, is what's brought that about, to identify what's gone on in the past and let's bring it back to where it needs to be.
And my follow-up question would be, do you think there are other pockets of the business that if there was a change in management, the same would happen?
I believe so, yes. Well, I think we're aware of some of the issues that are out in the organisation, but it's just being able to focus and get those worked on.
Because one of the key, complacency can always be a problem, can't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stowe.
Yeah, thanks, Kane. Just around the wellbeing initiatives, the increased costs for the increased costs for the wellbeing initiatives that you've implemented? You've refreshed. Totally forgotten that.
We are balancing them out, so we are not increasing our costs as such, but we are looking at how we can provide a better service with the budget we have.
And is that through the free EAP service? Is it
Yes.
free to council?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, so we've changed some of the modules that we have in there, and we're removing one that's actually costing us a bit of money at the moment to give better service there.
Councillor Goodwin, a question?
Just in regard to those good catches, I'm just curious, would you in the future sort of, or even now, comment on what areas are they? Where are the issues coming up, the dangers?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of them are small or low risk hazards that are identified.
Sort of thing.
So one of them, the one that pops into my head for some reason, is leaking kettles. We had some leaking kettles, so they were spilling hot water all over the place. They were identified, removed, new kettles are brought in. So that's very simple and very, So it's small things, identifying things before they. Another one you might have actually noticed was the tripping hazard we had on our steps here. One of the treads had lifted. That was reported within an hour of it sort of being noticed the first time, and that processed really quickly to get that fixed.
Thank you. Any other questions? I've got one question.
Sure.
That's a comment, but it's a question. In terms of the number of contractors that you went and audited,
yes.
Do you have a target that you set?
I have not actually set any with the GMs around compliance, but we could definitely have that discussion.
Yeah, I think it would be useful, and you can report we expected to do 10, we've done 5, or we've expected to do 10 and we did 15, I think.
Yep, absolutely. This is quite a baseline that we dropped in, so we also have our new audit form in Assura as well, which is giving us some data, so hopefully that'll sort of trigger those baseline numbers.
Yes, can I just comment? There's sort of two metrics there. There's the one where we do standard audits of contractors while they're doing work as part of the work program, and then we're going to create a random audit process as well. So there's two metrics.
So my question then is, will you actually have a number of expected random ones you want to over a year, right?
Yep. We're working through that.
Working through that at the moment. Brilliant, thank you. And that will be, I assume they'll be reported back here in due course. Thank you. All right. I know I've got a couple of comments, but just in terms of process, I'll just get a move in a second, and then I'll take comments. Happy to move Councillor Craig, seconder Councillor Marama. Right, comments? Councillor Craig and Councillor Taylor.
I just want to acknowledge that you can see an improvement in your health and safety across the board, and also the standard of the reports, I think, is really good. It's done really well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tim?
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge Kane after the last meeting when he spoke about the app. He came up to me after the meeting because he recognised we had a need at school. Then Kane organised a meeting with me. Was it Stella you? Stella and I from Lakeview School to come here, and he shared the expertise for about an hour, and it was incredibly appreciated. It will change the way we do our practice and improve it at our schools. So thank you, Kane.
No problem.
Bill of school on that, did we?
Pardon?
Double scores, thank you.
By me.
User pays. Yeah, user pays. Question, Kane, can you share your success with your safety observation for some of my councils, please? I've got a few that are lagging behind in terms of that, so it's a well done. Okay?
Cool, absolutely.
I'll talk to you later about their names, all right?
Perfect.
Not in public. All right, so we've got a move and a seconder. No further comments. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Mr. Paris, 8.7 financial report for first quarter. Page 76.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Excuse me, I've got a lozenge because I've got a tickle in my throat. 3 months to date financial report. The numbers are available there in the report for you to read. There's a statement of revenue and expenditure, which is the accounting statement, and there's a statement of rates requirement, which is the net position in terms of comparing how much rates income we've had versus the net expenditure of that rates. So we're on track. We're slightly overspent in terms of rates, less than 1%. The revenue and expenditure, we have more income in the first 3 months, but more expenditure, particularly in the operating expenditure area, and some of that revolves around the roading budgets, where for the emergency works we have budgeted a bulk number to complete the dropout repairs from the cyclone damage, but some of that work has to be expensed as operating expenditure, not capitalised as new assets. And so there's budgeted in capital, but it actually has to be spent and reported against operating. So there's an over expenditure there, but the revenue from the subsidy comes in to offset it. The overall OPEX is, that was the operating expenditure over by 6%. Capital expenditure, we're 10% of the budget for the full year. So after 3 months, 10% spent. And one of the biggest projects is the airport, and the downtime period over winter, where the project was put on hold because of the air temperatures to do the reseal, meant that we haven't spent the budget that we expected to, but they're up and underway doing that reseal work at the moment, and that big project is all go. There's unders and overs in the rates, and there's some commentary in there, and then there's the rates receivable arrears report. And the only comment I would make there is to look at the graph on the next page, the page, I'm not sure what it is in the agenda.
82?
No, 83.
Page 83. That graph tells a little bit more accurate a picture in that 6% of the rates levied in the first instalment haven't been collected. And that compares to the same 6% 12 months ago. 12 months before that it was 5%. So in terms of the value of rates we're collecting or we're levying every year, the Regional Council rates increase was over 20% this year. Masterton Districts was around 10%. So the percentage of arrears of those rates that have been levied is staying roughly the same. The dollar value of arrears is going up. So that's where the 1.6 million of arrears comes from. There's an increase in the first quarter, but it's an upward trend, but part of that upward trend is because the rates dollar value is increasing. Doesn't mean to say we're not focusing on debt collection and focusing on encouraging people to go on payment plans and manage the arrears. So I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you. Questions? No questions? Mr. Paris, you want make some smart comments about the airport costs taking off. And are they actually going to land by year end? Are they going to be on track?
That's a pun worthy of Mr. Haynes over there.
Well, the question is, are we actually going to be on track by year end?
For the airport,
yeah.
I believe so. The the invoices for the leases as an income item that's not in there yet, and the timing is reflected in the 3 months to date, and that we haven't budgeted it in the first 3 months either. But yeah, where the line items where expenditure is exceeding budget after 3 months, there'll be focus on pulling that back to stay within budget by year end.
And my other question is on your roading non-subsidised. We've got, is it 293 of non-budget? Is that a carry forward?
In
non-subsidised roading, the comment of expenditure
in capital.
Yeah, relates to completion of Gordon and Kitchener Street upgrade.
Oh, yes.
No budget 24-25.
Yes.
So it's a carry forward.
It's a carry forward of that project was underway last year. We expected it to be finished by the 30th of June, but there has been a claim in the new financial year by the contractors to finish that. The road's now finished and open, and our funding is from infrastructure roading contributions because it's developers driving the need for that road extension, and so development contributions are funding.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. No other questions? So can I have a mover for the recommendation, please? Councillor Goodwin, Councillor David. Any discussion, comments? All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. It's carried. Next item is 8.6, our building and planning update. 6.8, yep. Page 85. Thank you, Karen.
Kia ora, thank you. I'll take the report as read just to highlight a couple of things within the building functions. We have reported back there on BCA national trends as requested at the last audit and risk meeting. Those have just been taken directly from MB website, so feel free to consult that in the future if you'd like to. And also we have provided our customer survey responses as a response to some discussion last time, I think and the time before as well, around following up. I think Councillor Bowyer was asked about following up with those applicants who who decide not to pursue their consenting, and to find out why, and if there's any particular issues that people have with the service there. So I'm quite happy with those responses, and of course where there are areas or identified that we can improve, of course we'll look into that and see how best we can do that. So happy to take any questions or back them off to my team to respond.
Councillor Goodwin and then Councillor Beeks.
That survey of 10 customers, were their responses anonymous?
I think if you look at the responses in Appendix 1, it would indicate to me that they would be, yes.
I mean, it'd be very important that they were, I would suggest.
Yes. I can't say for sure, but that's generally how we carry out surveys. Charlie, did you have any further information? No.
Thank you. Councillor Beeks.
Just on the survey as well, great initiative too. There was just a couple of areas where obviously there was a few people that where there's room for improvement. One was getting around the website, which I thought was interesting because I'm quite familiar with the Masterton District Council website, but I struggle with finding things sometimes. So I wonder whether there's an opportunity to improve the search engine and whether that's going to be looked at. And the other thing is there's some people who think that the communication is not that great too, and I know that you can get some niggly customers, but everything else is kind of flying colours. So I think it's helpful to look inward. And so my question is, will you explore those areas a bit further?
Absolutely we will. I know that we've got an issue with the phones, and this has been a long-standing issue, so we are currently looking at how, and it basically means that we look like we're not being very responsive, and it's just the way our phone system has been set up, so we're definitely got that to look at in the short term. As for search engine, I'll leave that to our person responsible for comms to respond to. Yes,
Because we struggle ourselves sometimes. Sometimes you'll say a report's on the website, and for the life of me, they're hard to find sometimes.
Yeah. So we do have some restrictions in the way that we can put information online, simply by the architecture of the website that we have. So we've got an off-the-shelf product offered by Dovescape that's used by lots and lots of councils, and it limits in some terms how stuff can appear. We do try to make some concessions to that by creating areas on the front page that then lead you to the area that has the fuller information that you're looking for. We are very mindful of that fact, particularly as we've got some really big topics coming up for public consultation. So we'll be looking at ways that we can better signpost people to the information that are looking for through our online.
It'd be interesting to know, though, there's people, 20% who didn't like the website or couldn't find information if they're all looking for the same thing.
Yeah, they may well be. And the other thing as well, and I think this is something that's kind of legacy in the online realm, is that people are used to going onto websites, clicking and scrolling. The brilliance of this website is we've now got a really good search function in there, and that's the first thing that you see. And I would encourage anyone who's visiting our website, if they're looking for specific information, to try that as a first option, whack in a couple of keywords and press search, and more often than not, hopefully, your top hits should be the stuff that you're actually looking for, rather than trying to navigate a really complex website. It's a complex website because we're a complex organisation. We do lots and lots of stuff, and all of that information needs to be held somewhere. So my advice would be, hit that search bar, use it like Google, see if that gets the results you want, and if it's not, give us a call on our customer services line, and we'll be more than happy to find the information for you.
Good pitch, yeah.
Right now. Thank you. Councillor Stella.
Thank you, Karen and team. Just around the rejected building consents, what's the process around that? It seems to be quite a high number, and I wonder if there's regular things that are rejected, and sort of how do we support our members of the community with these rejections?
I'm going to look to Charlie now to see if he can help.
Yeah, something to talk about. The rejected comes back to, I'll stand up if you want, a lot of differing factors. We try and limit RFIs, we try to ask a lot of questions at vetting. A lot of applicants don't provide the minimum sort of information, so it's sort of guidance that if it's not correct, then we reject it. Majority of the time it's little things, but those little things we get caught up at all the time if you're not doing them correctly. So we have to, you want to help, but you sort of can't lead a horse to water and make it drink, So there is themes around, especially like commercial buildings with PS2s, when we have a design, quite large designs, and they don't come in with a design with a peer review, where these sorts of things should be coming in with the application, otherwise it just stops. So that's something we ask for. The numbers and why, I can't really tell you exactly, but there's a huge amount of factors that come into it.
Would it be useful to maybe have sort of the top 50 rejection reasons that we could attach to a consent sort of application form? Because I do hear out in the community about the rejections and how frustrating they are, especially when they're such little things. And I wonder if there's reoccurring little things, like an issue that pops up often, maybe we need to highlight that so it's caught before the people submit their consent.
We certainly, from officer experience, we know that where people are falling down, and then we will continually feed that back in when we get applications. So I think rather than having, FAQs or whatever, that that's kind of our BAU. We do that, but we will have a look back through those figures and see if there are any, and if there's anything that we can particularly help applicants with. I know what doesn't actually feature in those figures, and I've spoken to Shane about it, is that we do actually do a lot of going back for information. Many times before it's rejected. I think that there have been a handful where it's 40, 50 times. So we are being as lenient as possible, but it comes to a point where we have to say, you really need to redo this, and that's where we get to, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. And also thank you, because obviously I requested this data, so thank you for that. It just gives a far better picture on where things sit. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, I just had one other question on the survey. There was a page where people could put other comments, of which 80% responded, but none of the comments are there. So I'm not questioning where you're hiding them, but I'm just questioning whether there was a trend.
Yeah, we perhaps haven't themed those out. I'm not sure. Shane's not available today. Charlie, are you aware of anything that's come out of that? We'll have a look at that and we'll report back to the next meeting.
Yeah, it's quite unusual for people to give additional information, and normally that's where you find the nuggets.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we'll theme that out and come back.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I've got Councillor Tom. Thank you.
Yeah, I support Councillor Lennox's point of view. Are there things we can be proactive on that might prevent some of those rejections? But on the other hand, it's good to see there are rejections there, because the risk and liability is incredibly high now, and our insurance limitation is low. So it's definitely wrong. Yeah. Let them know. But if we can facilitate and speed things up by our comms and certain processes, then totally agree with Councillor Stone.
Also, Councillor, we welcome people to have a pre-application meeting. So if anyone's to lodge an application, they're welcome to come and meet with us first to get the sort of highlights of what we're looking for. So we had that last week with the developer, and they were very pleased that we were able to attend and give them a bit of a steer.
That would be a good thing to put out to the public, because I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, that's awesome. Great service.
Just a comment on that, being on the Trust House board, they've been working alongside Council on their proposed housing strategy and new builds, and they've said the meetings are really helpful, fantastic, and they feel that it'll be much easier for them when they get to the resource consent stage with all their new builds to have all their ducks in a row.
Question, Mr. Chief Executive, do you charge for that pre-meeting?
I don't believe we do we?
No, we don't charge for pre-apps, no.
You might want to advertise that.
I think advertise that.
Because other council, I know there was one council near me that does the pre-meeting. They log it.
Yeah. We certainly encourage it for big developments where we can get everybody around the table when there's particular issues.
It's reducing the risk for everyone. Good. Right. Okay. So no further questions. We've got a recommendation there on page 85. Do I have a mover? Councillor Craig, seconded Councillor Stella. No further comments. Right, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Carried. 6.9, our little bedtime reading covering report on the annual report. Mr. Paris, thank you for the bedtime reading.
Yeah, I realise it's been a big meeting agenda in terms of this morning's meeting and the amount of information and material, but delivering the annual report has been a lot of work leading up to getting that document. So getting it in front of you as early as possible has been our intention, even though the audit is currently ongoing. The intention with the auditors is to have them finished and the report adopted on the 27th of November with an audit report. And I suppose the document itself contains a lot of information. There's a number of pages in here that give narrative around the successes the council's achieved during the year, as well as the detailed financial reporting. So there's the green pages in the report give some stories around successes like battery recycling, like LTP consultation, parking survey, and the community events, the Halloween type events, and the impact that council has in the community. So that's all part of us reporting back to our community as to what we've done and what we've achieved, along with the prudent financial management of the organisation and the ratepayers who fund it. I don't think there's anything more other than to take questions.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor Goodwin.
Just wondering, going forward, I see note 6 on page 131,
Page number?
131.
131, thank you.
Note 6, just the personnel cost. I just wonder if we will get because there's been some restructuring, and it's referred to in the first quarter figures earlier in the day. Will we sometime soon get an estimate of where that's going? Because obviously it was up 11.3% in this report. It's up 7% or something in the first quarter, but when those restructure costs have worked through, I presume it looks better. So will that come back to us? Do we have to wait for the next?
We'll wait till the next quarter because it will reduce down over the next quarter. By year end, we're still forecasting to be within budget. So
that's right.
And this report shows that the last financial year, 23-24, the personnel costs in total were within budget.
Yep, very close to budget.
So whether the budget was an increase from the previous year or not isn't what we're... You voted on that, so
there's always different ways of looking at these things, isn't there?
So we came in on budget.
Very, very close to budget.
But it may be more now because of local water.
Right.
Be up 25 grand.
More than that. Right, moving on. Right, any other questions? I'll talk to you separately on that one. David, in terms of the audit, right, and this is potentially leading into Councillor Goodwin's question, how difficult is this year's audit compared to the previous year's audits?
I suppose every audit has its challenges because they are looking to get evidence to give themselves assurance that what they're signing off on is correct. And the skills of the audit team and what their knowledge and understanding of what they're coming in to ask questions about is variable every year because there's often a different team. There seems to be more and more hoops to jump through and questions to answer from auditors as they look to gain that assurance. But yeah, we're still going through the process at the moment.
But I mean, I just can't help but think of, central government, there's calls on councils to get back to basics and all sorts of language, and some of that I think we should hold Wemara up to some of their antics.
Can I, you asked me my view before. My view is there's a trifecta of reasons why audits are becoming more costly and more time-consuming. One is the auditing and accounting standards keep on lifting, and they're becoming more and more complex. Now that is actually almost in the Minister of Finance's domain through the accounting, or the Financial Standards Review Board, because they are actually setting standards. But those standards generally are being based on overseas standards for big listed companies. So although we've got the public sector accounting standards, a lot of the standards are actually driven from the Accounting Standards Board. I would also say that my experience is that Audit New Zealand are becoming more risk averse, and therefore they are requiring significantly more evidence and requirement of third parties. So,
can I just interrupt on that risk aversion? Have there been instances in your memory of when they've got it wrong? There was that sewage scheme up in Piper or whatever. Was that them?
Absolutely, it was them. I mean, not every mistake made by audit makes the headlines, but I was dealing with one today where last year the auditors made a mistake.
So it does happen.
Absolutely happens. But the question I have, apart from the Kaipara one, what were the consequences? Diddly squat, right? So that, right? And just also talking to just reinforcing what Mr. Paris has said, I actually notice an inexperience, a higher degree of inexperience with auditors. They're actually not asking the right questions anymore.
I hear that we're getting a more junior level coming up here, buzzing around, and then seniors send them back to...
No, my view is there has been a huge churn of auditors. So people have left the auditing industry and that experience is no longer there.
And so do you, someone like, with your wider experience, talk with, say, local government New Zealand about a collaborative approach on this issue?
At the moment, I'm actually personally engaging with both the OAG and the Director of Audit New Zealand, with the Executive Director of Audit New Zealand, on behalf of the sector.
On behalf of local
yes,
government?
I've taken it right, because I'm concerned. Right? And also, I meet with other independent chairs. We've got another meeting on the 12th of December in Wellington, and the issue of the requirement for auditors to do detailed assessments on revaluations when it's been done by an external party, as well as fair value, is actually up for debate. So we will be making some comments on that as well. So there are people, Councillor, watching the space. The problem is there are legislative compliance issues that they have to comply with. And as you well know, changing legislation often takes a considerable length of time when the government doesn't see it as one of their priority areas. Any comments on that, Mr. Paris? You disagree with me?
No. The valuations in our case are a balance sheet entry. The value of the assets that we're dealing with is huge. The depreciation calculation based on the valuations is an accounting entry. We base our asset management plans on what we need to spend to maintain the assets. So the focus on fair value, it's not something we manage our business with. So it feels like they're focusing in the wrong areas.
Yep. Concur. Right. So if we go any further questions, I know it's a hefty read. I've got did anyone actually read the whole thing cover to cover?
Skim.
Oh, did they? Oh, I've got something for you afterwards on that then. Okay?
Is there a typo?
Sorry? No. I don't look for typos, I look for numbers. No, I've got something for you, all right, as a reward. All right? So we've got a recommendation there. It's not a chocolate fish either. All right? That the recommendation on page 4 of the additional item, that we receive the draft annual report, and we note that it will be considered for adoption on the 27th of November, Audit New Zealand willing. Your move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Bex. Comments? Further questions?
On page 12,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering where we are. We are here. But I was just wondering, is that right? There, in the diagram.
In terms of this document, this is the annual report in that 3-year cycle. We're reporting on year 3, which was an annual plan, year 3 of the 21-31 long-term plan. We've already adopted the 24-34 long-term plan, but the year we're looking back on was the 3rd year of the last long-term plan.
Clear?
It's confusing.
Well, I think the diagram sort of explains it, that every year there's an annual report, and then the planning cycle is a 3-year cycle as well, and that is an annual plan for 2 of those years, and there's a long-term plan for 1 and 3 of those years.
All right.